Hi, and welcome back to Wildman Wheels. We are so close on this PUG, it's driving me up the wall. So, I've been spending some time this evening going through, figuring stuff out. Because at this point in time, we just need to mount the engine, right? And there's three main things that I have to do in order to mount the engine. We need to get a throttle cable situation set up. We need to get an air intake situation set up, and we need a muffler set up, right? All three of which, had Predator decided to be a little, more forgiving with the size of the engine, would be a lot easier. Mainly the exhaust. If you guys would have just made the exhaust muffler where you could rotate it, even if it's just 90 degrees. Obviously, I get it. You don't want it pointing at the carburetor, and you don't want it pointing directly at the fuel tank. But could we make it so we could rotate it 90 degrees? That would be great. That would be awesome. I would really enjoy that. But they don't, and it just blows right at the back of the seat, so we can't use that. So we have to move that to a different location. So we just have to completely delete the factory exhaust, and we got to just start from scratch with our own exhaust. So the throttle cable, that to me was kind of like the biggest, what am I going to do? So what I started out with is I measured the stroke of the throttle linkage on the actual engine. And there's approximately 1.5 inches from fully closed to fully open. So we need to have 1.5 inches of cable pull in order to go from zero throttle to full throttle. So I decided, okay, we have our little yoke. You guys saw that before. I was showing you down there the throttle linkage, that the original throttle linkage for the PUG. Okay, how are we going to make this work? Well, I need to make sure that yoke moves, or at some point in time, I have 1.5 inches of throw. So where the yoke is down here is right here, 1.5 inches. Do I need to weld a little bit longer on and weld down here so I get 1.5 inches? Where's the 1.5 inches at? Well, guess what? The 1.5 inches is exactly where the yoke is at. So I was like, well, how am I going to make this work? So what I decided to do, right, is I went ahead and I bought one of these style throttle linkages. It's got the little ball stud, right? And then this guy right here, it's got a little set screw, and you can feed just some cable into it and then tighten it up. So now on the end of the cable, you can have a nice heavy duty ball stud type linkage for your cable. Well, how am I going to get that? So I started looking around, right? I got my little ball stud here. There is a Club Car golf cart that has a stud, a throttle linkage stud, but has a really long threaded area. And I was like, oh, that would be perfect. I could use the stud itself as the pin for the yoke and have the stud hanging off the end that I could then clip onto, and it's just all, two in one. Well, the problem with that is it was $20 just for that little stud, and I'm not going to have it until like February 49th or something, which is unacceptable. So, option number 14. I decided to take a 1/4 inch bolt, which will also work for that yoke, and we're going to grind down the face of it, and I'm going to cut off the threads off the end of this stud, and I'm going to glue the two together. So we're going to have a 1/4 inch bolt with a stud hanging off the end of it. The other thing, for the intake, I did not order this style of intake from Amazon. Amazon decided that's the one you're going to get. This one's designed for taking the carburetor off. This would bolt directly up to the engine intake, and then it comes with this nice little boot that you stick on here, and then you can stick a Mikuni carburetor on there. Well, we're not running a Mikuni carburetor, so that's not going to work. So I had to reorder the other one. I said, hey, Amazon, you sent me the wrong Chingalooey. Didn't even order it. If you look at the order, it's not on there. I said, oh, sorry about that. So we're going to go ahead and just hang on to this, and maybe at some point in the future, if we decide the carburetor that comes on this is not up to par, then we'll go ahead and we can upgrade to the Mikuni, and we already have the adapter for it. So it's a happy little accident. It's happy little trees or something. Happy little accident number 47. The exhaust manifold. So I ordered this one because this one's specifically for the Predator 459, which is what we're using. And I figured it'd be nice just pick one of these bad boys up and just go with it. Well, these guys decided, I don't know why, so if you're there listening, 1¼ inch outside diameter. There is no one that makes 1¼ inch exhaust pipe anywhere. You can buy a piece of flex pipe, but that definitely does not look janky at all in any way, shape, or form. So what I'm going to do is what I should have done in the beginning. I've got a beautiful CNC plasma cutter over there, and we should just go ahead and use that. I'm going to cut out my own exhaust manifold flange, and I'm going to kind of, pattern it somewhat. I mean, you can only make an exhaust manifold flange look one way, really. I'm going to make my own exhaust manifold flange that's going to accept a 1½ inch pipe, and then we're going to weld a 1½ inch pipe on the end of that. Because you can go to AutoZone, Napa, AutoZone, Napa, O'Reilly's, CarQuest, any one of those, and buy 1½ inch exhaust pipe. They just have it sitting right there on the shelf. And this guy, the muffler that we're going to be using, 1½ inch pipe. So let's just ignore all of the adapters and doohickey flanges. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to return that, delete that. That brings me to the muffler. The muffler I found online, and this is a muffler for a Honda GX 190 that's used for a snowplow, like a walk behind snowplow. So that's fancy. It's we don't need this bracket, so we're going to need to cut this guy off so we can bolt this into our little happy little doohickey place. So we've got that going. The other thing, the thing that I think I'm most excited about is this guy right here, a Donaldson style air filter box. This is what we're going to be using for the air filter, right? It's got a nice little cover that pops off of there. And this has not one, but 2 air filters, a primary and a secondary air filter. We could take this thing down to the silt beds and not have to worry about any dirt or dust getting into the intake on this engine. And that's what I'm really excited about. So we're going to get all the parts attached and hooked up that we possibly can. I can't put this on because, well, I can put this on, but I can't hook it up because the hose, I literally went and bought the hose for the other style. The other style is a 2½ inch, right? This is 2½ inch to 1½ inch. This is 1½ inch. This is I didn't order this one. That's okay. We now have the correct one coming, and it's coming on next day air, emergency ground, whatever, so hopefully that'll be here before the end of the week. Also, got some new fuel line. We can put that on the engine because I ripped the other stuff. So let's go make our fancy homemade little ball stud doohickey mabob so that we can hook up the throttle cable. All right, we got our fancy pants machinist vise here. What I'm going to do, I put the 1/4 inch bolt and tightened it very gently to this, and I'm going to be grinding off the top of the head of this. It has the markings on it for the grade 5. I want to get rid of that. And it also has some kind of oxide coating on there, and I do want to get rid of that to get down to the bare steel on that. I did double check this, and it is magnetic. So I think it's steel, not stainless steel. So that could put a monkey wrench in things, but that's okay. I can go down to buy more of those. So let's do that first. So let's get the safety glasses. We got our gloves. I want to keep my fingers. I like them. Also, just a quick little tidbit. When you're using a grinder, ladies, gents, any of you guys out there, make sure you are wearing tight-fitting gloves. Okay, those cheap leather gloves that you buy at Tractor Supply or wherever, just they come in the 45 pack, and they got those are the worst gloves ever made to be using with a grinder. All it takes is a piece of that glove getting caught and you're wound up, and depending on what kind of blade you have hanging off the end of this bad boy, you could be losing fingers. There's literally somebody that I don't know personally, I don't know them personally, but I know their uncle. It's a friend of a friend. Okay, let's call it that. And that very thing happened. She works for a vet, and she was working on some horses, getting ready to shoe them, and was using some kind of something. I don't know. I'm not a vet. And she was wearing those baggy leather gloves, and her fingers got caught in the grinder, and it cut her first 2 fingers just right clean off. So if she wasn't wearing baggy leather gloves, and she was thinking, hey, I'm wearing leather gloves while I'm using a grinder, I'm being safe. Well, no, you're not. So make sure you get gloves. They don't need to be leather, but they need to be gloves that are tightly fitting, no loosey-goosey. I don't need any guys losing a finger out there. Also, one more thing before we get started. We're going to engage the safety beard, because I don't want to lose my face either. Perfect. We just need to get a nut to go on this side so we can lock that cable in place, and it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, I just put these bolts in finger tight. We're not getting crazy with them right now. It's just we're going to hold the engine in there and kind of get the air cleaner mocked up. The air cleaner shouldn't really be in the way at all. It shouldn't really cause any issues. I just want to, verify. Trust, but verify. All right. Okay, we got her installed. I hate these clamps. They look terrible, but that's what we're gonna do for now. We will eventually have real exhaust that's gonna be nice and, but all we're waiting on, well, I gotta take the tank off. We gotta change out the fuel line that I broke when I was pulling the carburetor off. So, Harbor Freight, maybe you could include a little bit of extra fuel line with your kit. Either that or use fuel hose that's big enough that when you put it on your little nipple there, it doesn't glue itself to the point where you tear it trying to get it off. You already included the little kit with the jets for the elevation. Just include like 4 cents worth of hose too, just in case. It's a just in case thing. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill that with oil, and fill that guy with oil. And then we're literally just waiting for the adapter. As soon as the adapter shows up, we can jam that guy on, hook it up, and then go take this thing out for a ride. That's all we're waiting for. So let's get this finished up. It is Saturday afternoon. Yep. I need to get this video edited and put out. And I'm hoping that piece shows up so I can actually start this thing and we can take her for a drive. Getting this Pug all finished up and getting it ready to drive for the first time in 25 years. Kind of reminds me of one of my favorite Bible verses, Galatians 6, 4, and 5. Pay careful attention to your own work, for then you will get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else, for we are each responsible for our own conduct. All right, well, that's everything. We've got the exhaust hooked up, we've got the fuel hooked up, we've got the throttle hooked up, we've got the entire thing full of oil, engine's full of oil, transaxle, rear axle, it's all full of oil. Everything's got oil. The only thing we're waiting for is that adapter for the carburetor. That's it. That's the last piece that we're waiting for. As soon as I have that piece, boom, We can hook, just give me 10 minutes. We'll have that set up, and then we can take this thing for a rip. So fingers crossed that shows up tomorrow. But if I only take a 2-hour nap tonight, 2-hour nap tonight, I should be able to have the video edited in time to upload. Great. We got the parts. Just FYI for you, it's currently Sunday morning. And the video's got to come out in just a couple hours. But we got our little adapter piece here that goes on to the air filter housing. And then here, this is what we've been waiting for so long. Yes. Carefully. Probably not going to be using that air filter. Let's just... little baby screw. There's our little clip to hold the choke on, and here we go. Look at this. Look at that. That's the bad boy right there. Here's our intake boot, and look at this. Oh, it fits like a glove. Perfect. Okay, let's get this dude installed. I can't get it out. Let's get this bad boy installed on the engine. We gotta get it done. No messing around. All right. What do you think? So the fuel is on. We got fuel into the carburetor. I'm not seeing any leaks. Let's give her some choke. Turn it on. Let's see what happens. needs to warm up a little bit. It literally started first pull. That's impressive. That muffler is actually awesome. It's actually really quiet. I don't know if the microphone's making it sound worse than it actually is, but it's actually really quiet. All right, let's try putting it in gear and see what happens. I don't know which gear is which. This thing rips. You want to go for a ride?
These things are a blast, I will say. I remember when I first run it, it was just like, this is sweet. Never run good, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can see more of getting this thing finished up and making it sweet. Doggy dog!